Hi guys, what's up? I hope everybody is doing good and I'm back with another video here. This time pertaining to the amendments in the subject of Enterprise Information Systems for CA Inter. Now if you go through the study module of ICAI, they have made a lot of changes in terms of better presentation and presenting in tabular formats and a few more additions to the topic. Hardly there are any deletions, which we will anyway see in the video. So what I want you to do is watch through the entire video, understand all the amendments and be very well prepared for your upcoming May 21 exams and further. And the best part about this video is I am not going to just read out what are the amendments or just tell you where or in which page changes are there. I've made an effort to completely draft all the amendments into one lot and explain them in detail. Unlike just showing you that in this chapter this amendment is there, that's of no use, right? Telling you where the amendment is. Okay, that will just tell you what the amendments are, but who will explain you? Not many amendments in chapter 1, 2, 3 and 5, but a few amendments in chapter 4 of EIS. And without any delay, let's go into the video to see all our amendments. Okay, so before we begin the amendments, we have to discuss some of the important points that I've given there. So first point very clearly says that there are no major deletions. So then nothing has been deleted, and only thing is there is a rearrangement of many key facts, here and there, wherever we thought that a point is incomplete or the point is not being given properly. All such cases we have now, majority you can say, have been addressed. Institute has taken that bit of a care. So only rearrangement is there, but no deletions. And IT Act, the offences were discussed in chapter 5 in the core banking systems, section 65 and 66, wherein offences are there. They have been discussed and that was put in the 5th chapter. That is now moved to 1st chapter. So there is no addition or deletion there, just moving from 5th chapter to 1st chapter, that has taken place there. Then select places, new topics have been added which are there in this material. You can again, those of you who missed watching the intro, the link of this material is there in the description. You can download the material. It's absolutely free and you can watch it along with this class. Then that is what is something that I put even in the last point, that if you have previous materials, don't throw them and bring a new material, or don't waste some money in buying some propaganda material saying that this is updated with all latest amendments. See, this is a theoretical subject where amendments come in the nature of additions or deletions, not the the entire book won't change. So whichever version of the book you are using, in line with that, whatever changes have taken place, I have added all those in this material. And what I have not added are the case study scenarios. Now if you see my 5th point, illustrative case study scenarios at the end of every chapter has been given in the study material. Now I have made so many videos in the past about how to answer case study based MCQs. So if you watch those, for which also the link is in the description, you can go through those videos and comfortably answer case based MCQs, and then go to the institute study module and solve those cases. I don't think that requires any of my help in solving. Once you are fundamentally clear with the topic, then you can solve all those case studies on your own. So on that note, let's move on to the 1st chapter. There is a bit of rearrangement here in the 1st chapter, wherein you can see automated business process, where what process should be automated. Now you know that there are so many things in automation, but which of these processes have to be automated is the question that has been added. This can become a short answer question in the exam, so I want all of you to pretty much concentrate on this one. Which business processes should be automated? Now I hope all of you know the answer here. Those business processes which are very critical, those are the business process that we have to automate. Now if the font on your screen is very small, if you are watching it on a mobile device and all that, understand the topic. and I prefer that you download this material and take a print of it, so that like I told in the beginning, so that you won't have a problem in watching the class. Now I have to show you where I'm underlining or what I'm doing. That is exactly why there is a material on screen. Otherwise I can enlarge it a bit, but there is no point. We will just lose track of everything. So please get the material and then watch the class. Technology is the enabler of BPA. We know that, and BPA offers many advantages. There is a separate question on what are the advantages of BPA. I hope you already know all those 7 points. Along with that, now they say, but every business process is not a good fit for automation. Why do you say that? Because there is a very simple point. If you are automating a wrong process, you end up getting wrong results faster. So you are not supposed to do the automation just like that. Then you need to understand which process can be automated, and then only they should be automated. Companies tend to automate those business process that are, underline two words, time and resource intensive. They should save time and they should save resources. If both these are not happening, then what is the point in automation, right? So they both should happen, and that is exactly why we look for doing the automation. Business process that are time and resource intensive operationally, or those that are subject to human error. Now these are all problems that were there in the human processing, wherein we end up doing mistakes, or there is a possibility that the same task can be done again and again repetitively. To avoid all that, those processes have to be automated. I think here the list is given very clearly. This is a very easy answer, more a rearrangement of points only, nothing new as such. Those processes which involve a high volume of task or repetitive task. So if somebody is asking you which process will you automate, you will choose to automate those processes where repetitive tasks are there and also which involve high volume. Many business processes such as making purchase orders involve high volume of repetitive tasks. Now in a business where purchases are going on a regular basis, when purchases are going on a regular basis, it is better that we automate such process, because it's one cost effective, and also it's very costly to make a mistake while making these purchase orders and all that. So therefore it's always better that you try and automate these processes. Then second point, processes requiring multiple people. Now when the point itself is clear, when multiple people are involved, the possibility of error is high. A business process which requires multiple people to execute tasks often result in waiting time, which, okay, that is also a point. It leads to waiting time, increase in cost, and more than that, what they didn't tell you there, what I feel is, if multiple people are involved, even if one commits a mistake, then the entire process can go wrong. And also all those processes which are time sensitive should be automated. Business process automation results in a streamlined process and faster turnaround times. The streamlined process remove all the wasteful activities and focus on enhancing tasks that add value. Time sensitive process are best suited to automation. Wherever time is critical, time sensitive process they are called, they are very important to be automated. Like for example, online ticket booking, online banking, everything has been automated. Where the next point is something interesting, check this out. Processes involving need for compliance and an audit trail. I hope all of you know what audit trail is. That is nothing but tracing a transaction from beginning to end, from start to end of a process. If you are tracing a transaction, then that is only called as audit trail. Those of you who don't know can write it down there. Audit trail is nothing but tracing a transaction from beginning to end. Such process where you want to know from beginning to end, you need a complete flow of those process, and if it requires compliance, strict compliance to laws, then you need to automate those process. With business process automation, every detail of a particular process is recorded. These details can be used to demonstrate compliance, during audits. So for example, issue of invoice to vendors. Is there a process for issuing invoices to vendors? Is everybody following that process? If something goes wrong in that process, then a wrong invoice will go. So in order to avoid all that, automate that also. And not only this, there are something called as cross-functional process, which means one process will have a link to the other process. In such cases, we have to automate those also, because processes that are having significant impact on other processes that have significant impact on other process. If you want, you can write down there in bracket. They are called as cross-functional process. Let's see if they give. Yeah, they give it in the second line. So please underline that. That's enough. Cross-functional process they are called. I think those of you who studied about e-commerce clearly, in that there is a discussion about it. In ERP, there is a discussion about cross-functional process. Now, those of you who have no idea about what EIS is, don't watch this video. This is just the amendments that are meant for people who have already understood or are thinking that they have already understood. Many people think that, they have already understood it. So if I watch amendments, it's enough. But sir, from this material, will there be any question in the exam? I hope so. Generally, whenever there are changes, from the changes, there is always a possibility that questions can come. And in what we are discussing in this session, there's going to be a lengthy one. There are a lot of possibilities of questions coming in the exam. Again, I suggest this is going to be a little long session, so you can take breaks and watch. So that's the end of our first point. Process having significant impact, they're called cross-functional process. All such cross-functional process where different departments within the same company have to work hand in hand, those processes also shall be automated. And automating these processes results in sharing information and improving the efficiency and effectiveness of the business process. That's very simple, very, very easy question as to which of the business process should be automated. Let's move on to the second change in the first chapter. Very, very simple. If you are doing BPA, which is the core topic of the first chapter, what are the challenges involved? Now you said there are benefits. In the past, only benefits were given, the negatives of which were not touched about. But now a very significant question, because this can straight come in the exam again. 4 points are there, so there could always be a 3 or 4 marks question popping out of this. What are the challenges involved in BPA? Which processes are to be automated? We know. Why should they be automated? We already studied the benefits. How should they be automated? 8 steps in automation have been studied. These are all things. New topic totally is the challenges. Sir, is it so easy to go ahead and say automate everything from the next Monday? It's not something that happens like that, right? So therefore, let's see what are the challenges that are posed. 1. Automating redundant process. Now you know what redundancy is. Repetition. Sometimes organizations start off an automation project by automating the process they find suitable for automation without considering whether it is necessary and do they create value. After doing everything, you should not realize, "Arey sir, before automation only this was good." Then what is the point in automation? After doing all of this, if you realize that before automation only it was good, then what is the whole point in doing the automation? So that doesn't sound any exciting, right? So therefore, it's important to know which process are you automating. Is it worth doing so? In other cases, some business process and tasks require high amount of tacit knowledge. There are 2 types of knowledge: explicit knowledge and tacit knowledge. Now, explicit knowledge is something that comes from reading books, or it's published knowledge. Basically, it's available around. But tacit knowledge is that knowledge that you gather with experience. That is why they gave in the bracket. See, that cannot be documented and transferred. You want it to be in more simple terms, you can always write there tacit knowledge. Pull an arrow mark to the tacit knowledge and write tacit knowledge is knowledge that is gathered based on experience. That is why they gave, it cannot be documented. It's not like something that you can write on paper. If you ask a doctor how he solves a particular case, it's out of doctor's experience that they solve. Not every case is a straight out of the book situation. No, so straight out of book things are called explicit knowledge, but when you use your experience, that is only called as tacit knowledge, which requires employees to use their personal judgment. Now you all studied audit, where if anything is judgmental, the possibility of something going wrong is very high. These processes are generally not good candidates for automation, as these processes are hard to encode and automate. Long process, what is it, who is the one who's doing the major part of the process, who are the supporting ones? To understand all this and automate, it's a tough task. Sir, can we not automate at all? No, I'm not saying that, but it's a tough task to automate. Then, as I told you in the beginning, success of BPA totally depends on the process. That is why the previous question, which process should be automated? If you take a wrong process and automate that process, then the whole story is going to go for a toss. Look at the second one. If a process is very complex, defining that complex process can be a challenge. BPA requires re-engineering. I hope all of you studied the concept of BPR in strategic management, which is a complete dramatic transformation concept. When you're doing automation, BPA, that is an exercise of re-engineering only. BPA requires re-engineering of some business process that require significant amount of time to be allocated and spent at this stage. This requires a detailed understanding of the underlying business process to develop a automated process. If a complex process is not understood completely, then you might end up doing something wrong. Then talk about staff resistance. In most cases, human factor issues are the main obstacle to the next point is staff resistance. Not every time the staff is very cooperative, saying acha, you're going for automation, okay, do it. What if that staff don't know to use the new softwares or don't know to use computers itself? So there's always a resistance saying no, whatever is going on, that is good, change is not required. Always people do that. In most cases, human factor issues the main obstacle, human beings are the main obstacle to acceptance of an automated process, because they might lose jobs, right? This is due to the reason that with automated process, the management has a greater visibility of the process and they can make decisions that can be used earlier, which were made by staff, now be made by the management directly. In other words, they're saying there is no need for you to be there. So threat of job, they won't continue in the job, because now systems can do whatever they're doing, they'll be thrown another job. And one of the biggest challenges involved in BPA is it's a very, very costly process. Take out from your mind that BPA is just about buying a few computers and installing. No, it's not that. So it's a whole transformation. The cost is going to be pretty high. It's a very expensive proposition. BPA is a very expensive proposition in terms of acquisition or development cost of automated systems and special skills required to operate and maintain these systems. So, two new additions to the topic of BPA: which processes are to be automated and what are the challenges that are involved in BPA. That's all, nothing more than that. Then a small paragraph change in definition of ERM, not even a change, a little addition you can say. You all know ERM is not any solution that you buy and say once we adopt ERM, risk is gone forever. We know that it is not like that, it's just a framework. So ERM is a risk-based approach which includes the methods and processes used by organizations to manage risks. To what? Manage risk. ERM provides a framework for risk management which involves three more points have been added there as a definition. One, identifying potential threats or risks, not what are already there, what can come in future, potential threats or risk. Defining how big a threat or risk is, defining how big a threat or risk is, and what could be its consequence. Now we know that risk, threat, vulnerability, exposure, I hope you all have studied those different terms. Exposure, what is the consequence? So that is something that we can find by using the ERM framework. And finally, after finding that, what will you do? So risk is there, so what? So what? You will adopt controls, implementing controls to mitigate the risk. There is just a additional definition given for ERM. So only these three changes in the first chapter. Rest of the chapter continues to remain the same. Those of you who have not watched our revision videos, I am leaving the link of our EIS revision videos also in the description. You can go and watch those also. And now let's move on to the second chapter. The second chapter only has a couple of small points to be discussed, nothing much, because major amendments are there in the fourth chapter, like I told you. Otherwise, the rest of the places, nothing much. So, moving on, chapter number 2, financial and accounting systems. Everything continues to remain the same, but they have given you an additional definition for what data warehouse is. All of you, I guess, know what data warehouse is. It's a repository of all the information that is there. So data warehouse is a module that can be accessed by the organizations. Who all can access? Underline: customers, suppliers, and employees. So everybody can access the data warehouse. Warehouse is a place where the entire data is stored. It's a repository of the organization's electronically stored centralized data. Data warehouse are designed to facilitate both reporting and analysis. So just like I told you, nothing changed. They're just giving you a better definition of it. The classic definition of data warehouse focus on data storage. Now anything that you do to this data warehouse, activities that are involved in transforming a data warehouse, that is only called as data warehousing. Underline: the process of transforming data into information. Data is raw, crude, we know that. Information is more synthesized, information is made available to people so that they can make decisions out of that. Information is a very filtered version of data. The process of transforming data into information and making it available to the user in a timely manner, that is exactly what is now known as data warehousing. Whenever you say warehousing, it's a process, a sequence of steps involved. I hope all of you remember the concept that you studied in the second chapter called ETL: extract, transform, and load. Extract the data, transform the data into meaningful form, and load it back into the warehouse so that people can use that to make decisions. This means to retrieve and analyze data, and ETL: extract, transform, and load data, to manage the data dictionary, are also considered the essential components of data warehousing system. An expanded definition of data warehousing includes the BI tools, the business intelligence tools, which are later discussed in this chapter. The tools that are used to do ETL, tools to extract, transform, and load into the data warehouse, tools to manage and retrieve metadata. You know what is metadata, right? Data about data. Those of you who don't know can write down there in bracket. It's data about data. In contrast, the data warehouses are operational systems which perform day-to-day work. Now, this paragraph is already there in your book, much in a disorganized manner. So now they have put it into two small, simple, crisp paragraphs so that you can understand this concept easily. Now, what I am expecting to come in the exam from the second chapter amendments is this question, because though this was there in your book, now it's given with a little more detail. This is how it should be given. This is what I always expected it to be. But unfortunately, they just gave you a small paragraph. But now I think they've correctly given, because many students never understood the fundamental logic behind it. Because when we work with clients, we see how these role-based powers are assigned. But since people don't know the background, they always think like, what is happening here? So now it's been given very clearly. Let's see that. Role-based access control, the fundamental. It's not a new topic. It's a topic with better explanation. So I hope all of you are able to relate to it, saying what? Based on people's roles, powers will be assigned to them. In computer systems security, role-based access control is nothing but a approach to restricting system access only to authorized users. Restricting system access. Don't give everybody all the powers. Give only what is required to fulfill their job roles. I hope all my students know these two words that I keep on telling in classes: need to know and need to do basis. If you are able to relate that point, that is what role based access are. What is that you need to do and what is that you need to know to fulfill your job role? Is that there or not? If it is there, that is good enough. Role based access control is sometimes also referred as role based security, which is a policy neutral access control mechanism defined around the roles and privileges that lets employees having access rights only to the information they need to do their jobs and prevent them from accessing information that does not pertain to them. It is used by most enterprises and can implement two things. These are the two new things, so please underline them: mandatory access control and discretionary access control. In the names only you can identify what they are. Mandatory means compulsorily, these are something that have to be strictly enforced, compulsorily given or defined. Sometimes it's like if it's undefined, we'll assume that this goes to somebody, but now you can't do that. It has to be clearly defined. Then discretionary, the very name says it, so if you want to give it, otherwise not. Both are explained clearly. We will have a reading also, check there. Mandatory access controls criteria are defined by the system administrator, strictly enforced. Please underline that it is mandatory, strictly enforced by the operating system, and are unable to be altered by the end users. You can't change that. Whatever you do, you can't change any of that, and are unable to be altered by end users. Only users or devices with required information security clearance can access protected resources. A central authority regulates access rights based on the multiple levels of security. Organizations with varying levels of data classification, like government, military institutions, they all definitely will use mandatory access control to kind of classify all end users. And this is very, very important for a simple reason that you look at the areas, government, defense, these are all high priority areas, so definitely control should not be given to many people to change their access powers. So mandatory access controls are defined, they'll follow that only. In other areas, you can definitely go with DAC, discretionary access, which involve physical or digital measures and is less restrictive than the other access control system, as it offers individuals a complete control over the resources they own. The owner of a protected system or resource sets policies defining who can access it. Now, every access control is that only, defining who can access it. Here it's a little more relaxed. This last paragraph continues to remain the same. The components of role-based access control, wherein we are talking about role permissions, what is the user role, and from one role to other, role to role relationship, make it simple to perform user assignments. An organization without this role-based access control is a chaos, because you don't know who's having the right power, who's doing what. None of this we will have a clarity of. So therefore it can create much more confusion. Therefore, implement these access control mechanism can be used to facilitate administration of security in large organizations with hundreds of users and thousands of permissions. Roles for staff are defined in the organization. And permission to access a specific system or perform certain operation is defined as per the role assigned. So whatever is the role given to you, permission also is given to you accordingly. For example, you can see junior accountant will be in the accounting department, is assigned to only record the transactions, whereas in HR department somebody is assigned to the role of gathering data for salary calculations. So the guy who is working in HR department will get access to his required data of salary and other things, the number of leaves that employees have taken, so that helps him in salary calculation. Accountant will get his data, which are helpful for passing a entry out there. So that's our first two chapters where there are very minimal changes, and now we will move on to the third chapter. If you want, at this point you can take a break and then continue this video for the third chapter. Let's move on to the third chapter then. No many amendments in the third chapter. It's a very simple thing to discuss. You already know this one, the two things, process registers and cache memory. What they have done is they have put a difference table, so nothing much to worry about it. Let's just see what is it. Small devices which are high speed devices, they are only called as process registers. You know this. So there is no great technique with respect to that. And cache memory, you know what cache memory is, right? So it's not like these two concepts are newly introduced, just a difference table. Let's compare and see. Process registers are high speed memory units within the CPU. Where are they located? High speed memory units within the CPU for storing small amount of information, mostly 32 or 64 bit. That is what process registers are. When it comes to cache memory, it's a much faster memory built into the computer, used to reduce the time gap between what and what. Time gap between the RAM and the main memory, so that frequently used items will be stored in the cache. That's why when your phone or device anything slows down, we generally ask you to clear the cache memory. The data that is stored within a cache might be values that can be computed earlier or duplicates of the original values that are stored elsewhere. Both these are points that we have to understand. The registers are the only things most process can operate on directly. If any processes is working directly on this, then it can work on a register. And cache memory is more like a bridge. Underline the word interface. It's what? An interface between what and what? Between the CPU and main storage. It's not directly accessible for operations. And so these two paragraphs were there, but now they put it in the form of a table quickly to understand. Same is the case with primary memory versus secondary memory. This topic of primary memory and secondary memory, all of you have read in this chapter, but only thing is it needs to be organized properly. And now that organization has happened here, what are the differences between both? They have been clearly distinguished and discussed. Let's see that. So primary memory, what is the basic difference between both these aspects? Primary memory is directly accessible by the processor or CPU. That is, primary memory is RAM. The processor can directly access that. While it is secondary memory is not directly accessible by the CPU. You know what secondary storage devices are? If secondary storage devices have some information and if they have to be accessed, it has to be accessed through the primary memory. And primary memory is smaller in size, secondary memory is larger in size. All those points are going to come up, so stay attentive. Then talk about data. Instructions or data to be currently executed or copied to the main memory. Underline the word currently executed. Right now, what is it you want to do? Data which is to be permanently stored is kept in the secondary memory. And then all the points that were discussed individually now have been put in the form of table neatly. Volatility, primary memory is highly volatile while secondary memory is non-volatile. Primary memory is made of semiconductors, but secondary memories are like our hard disks and CDs, DVDs, so they are all more of optical and magnetic material. Magnetic and optical material. Speed, obviously primary memory is faster when compared to secondary memory, because secondary memory the data is permanent, so slower access. Primary memory is accessed by the data bus, that is nothing but the bundle of wires that pull out data. So USB and other things and all, they all first connect to the primary memory. Any secondary device will first connect to the primary memory, and then only through that only you can access. Secondary memory is accessed by input output channels. Smaller primary memory, because you have 2 GB RAM, 4 GB, maybe nowadays we are using 16 and 32 GB RAMs, but secondary memory space, you see 1 TB hard disk, 2 TB hard disk, so secondary memory is comparatively larger. Primary memory is costlier than secondary memory because the kind of work that it does. Secondary memory, what's the cost of pen drive nowadays? Like a 16 GB pen drive is available for like what, 200, 300 rupees also. Of course, different brands, but then, and 1 TB hard disk is coming anywhere between 3 to 4,000 rupees, even cheaper than that sometimes. Oh, secondary memory is a way cheaper than primary memory, and primary memory is very much an internal memory, while secondary memory is a external memory. Sir, we know all these points. Yeah, that is because they were given in paragraphs earlier. Now they're neatly molded and put a table. So I also thought it will be a quick discussion we can put across. Now, there are different models in which the data can be stored in database. If you remember, hierarchical model, network model, RDBMS, or the relational database model, right? In that, we all know that there is something called primary key. Now, along with that, they have defined what is a foreign key. So that's why these extra 2 lines have been pulled out for discussion. For each table, one of the fields is identified as primary key. Now, I hope those of you who know the concept of how an RDBMS work, you all know that every box will have one key identified as the primary key, which will tell you what that table is all about, which is nothing but the unique identifier for each record in the table. What are keys? Something that will help you join from one table to the other table. You understand why tables? Because in RDBMS, data is stored in the form of rows and columns. So keys are commonly used to join or combine 2 or more tables. If the primary key of one table is used in another table to access the former, it is called a foreign key. A primary key here is used in another table, then only link will be established. So this, when it is used in another table, it is called a foreign key. So what they're trying to tell you is what is identified as a primary key in one table will be the foreign key when it is present in some other table. So that's an extra point that you need to know, where it is a primary key for this table, the same one eventually turns out to be a foreign key in the other table. Now then these 3 concepts, now back in the second chapter you saw what is a data warehouse. Extracting data from data warehouse, the concept is called as data mining, wherein we discuss as ETL. So actually these again, see guys, in the amendments, lot of things are already there, but only thing, the way they have been organized is very neat now in the May 21 material. That's why you see a table on your screen right now which compares these 3 aspects. Earlier also when I teach, I draw it in the class, what is data, database, and then what is the data warehouse, and then show what is data mining. That's not exclusively discussed in the material earlier, but we still used to discuss such things in class. On the board I used to just drop so that people understand the flow, but now they have included that in the material itself. That's a very proactive approach. So we will also have a quick reading. Check this out: database, data warehouse, and data mining. 3 things. Database, this stores the real-time information. Whatever is going on, real-time information is stored here. Like for example, in a telecommunication sector, the database stores information related to monthly billing, details, call records, minimum balance, etc. So all of what is related to a particular area, like telecommunication, only all those related to the telecommunication thing. Its function is to record, just all the data will be recorded in the database. SQL, MS Access, all these are good examples of database. Basically, I hope you guys are exposed to MS Access. That's a pretty simple software. If you have not opened and seen any time, just whenever you have time, you can open the MS Access, the most easiest database software there. From there, we move on. A bunch of databases, when they brought together, they create a repository. I think earlier in the session we discussed about what a repository is. So data warehouse is something that stores both historic and the transaction data. Database is storing all the current data, while data warehouse is storing all historic and transactional data. In the same example, they're continuing, telecommunication sector, information in the data warehouse will be used to for product promotions, decisions relating to sales. So these are next level, not just only that particular bill details, that particular person. Entirely this month, how many people have been billed, what is their bill, so like total, what is the turnover for this month, next month how can we improve. So warehouse gives you a broader picture. Its function is to two words, reporting and analysis. Back then also we discussed, from data warehouse you can extract data, analyze the data, prepare a report that will help the management to make decisions. Teradata, Informatica are some of those applications which you use as a data warehouse. Then data mining, this is an activity to analyze data to find previously unknown trends. Now if you know what is a trend, then why will you analyze? So for previously unknown trends, we'll try and analyze what it is. In the same telecommunication sector, they're continuing the same example. Information will be analyzed by data mining techniques to find out the call duration with respect to a particular age group from that huge data warehouse. How many people, let's say for example, between age group of 18 to 25, at what time they are calling? Like, is it more in the night or is it during the day? If somebody is in the age group of 30 to 40s who are working, let's say in managerial positions, what time are they talking? What is the average call duration? Then in that they will again pick up in which age group what is the call duration. You're seeing a lot of people nowadays publish data usages. In the last month, so much TB of data was consumed by age group of this people. So more people, I guess all of you know, a lot of people are playing these games like PUBG and all, now to banned, but earlier when they used to play, so their data consumption was higher, somebody else's was lower. Lot of comparisons used to pop up in the social media and all. How do they do that? They mine the data and analyze the data and figure out a report. Its function is to extract useful data. So R language and Oracle data mining are all these things where you can actually use to do this concept of data mining. So that's it, nothing much in the third chapter. It's a very simple amendment in the third chapter. Let's now move on to the fourth chapter. Moving on, next is to chapter 4, guys, where we have significant amount of amendments. So I want all of you to concentrate carefully here. In this chapter, what we will be looking at are additions to few topics that you already know, so there is nothing much to really worry about. But having said that, there is only one new concept, totally new concept, called the cryptocurrency. That also because there is so much of talk going around Bitcoin and all that. Definitely we would want you to know what exactly is a cryptocurrency, so that small paragraph has been included. But otherwise, first few topics are very simple. We already have a long list of advantages of e-commerce, but we never spoke about the negative side of it. Now they've given disadvantages. These points are very easy, so I don't think you need a detailed explanation. Let's see the points. If something is very difficult, I will explain you. But otherwise, first and foremost disadvantage is about the internet connection. No internet, then no e-commerce. Like say for example, even if I'm doing this class and you don't have internet, you cannot watch it, right? So that is why internet connectivity is a prerequisite, and many people may not have internet connectivity. That's your first disadvantage. Setting up an e-commerce business today is a costly affair, right? High startup cost. But no sir, there are a lot of people like the AWS, Amazon Web Services, who are providing. You can opt for all that. Despite that, if you say no, I don't want to go with a third party because security issues are there and I want to set up everything. See, again, setting up means you have to buy the hardware, you have to buy the software, you have to take care of security. Those points are also there here: hardware, software, the setup, maintenance. Not just setting up, then you have to train your employees, the cost involved in doing all that. So basically, this entire point of high startup cost is about where is the startup coming from. If you are simply setting it up, now you can ask me, sir, there are a lot of businesses which started off very small. No, they did like that. But today, if you want to enter into e-commerce, you have to enter with proper security, and more to it, you have to have an infrastructure which you discuss, no, technology infrastructure that should be there. And in these scenarios, if you don't want to outsource it, if you outsource it, it will be cheaper relatively. But if you don't want, owing to security issues mainly, then sometimes if you are unable to connect to those servers, so connection, hardware, software, setup, maintenance, all this could be a big issue for you. We have to pump in a lot of capital. Then three, legal issues are significant impediment. That means something that can significantly stop you. In many countries, there are restrictions on what you can do and what you cannot do. So if you are on the internet, there are certain products you can sell, there are certain products you can't sell. So all that has to be ascertained. It also, it is almost uncertain to ascertain the legal issues that will start to pop up as the business progresses. Legal issues may also arise if customer sensitive data falls into the hands of hackers. Now, those of you who already know the concept of SPDI, sensitive personal data and information, from the first chapter, it is a duty of every body corporate to protect such SPDI. And if I am starting an e-commerce business, the onus is on me to protect all that information. So sometimes that could be an issue. The legal environment in which e-commerce is conducted is probably unclear and conflicting. Maybe I won't agree 100% at that point. You have to spend time to be clear. It's not like it's unclear. You have to sit and read all the laws, understand. First of all, you have to figure out how many laws are there. All these are a little bit of challenge. Some business process may never lend themselves to e-commerce, which means many items which are perishable and high cost items like jewelry and antiques may be impossible to adequately inspect from a remote location. All of us, I'm including everyone, we will once at least, when we shopped on e-commerce, we would have got fooled up by the our color of the screen, or like what it appears. But when you get the actual product, it is quite different, right? Happens with, most likely, with the clothing. When you see it on its screen in your phone, it's looking excellent. Oh my god, like what is this color? We have to have this. And when you bring that home, it'll actually be a totally different shade. Most of the phones are all 16 million color phones and all. It shows things amazingly on the screen. That is one danger. So some businesses, now you're buying an antique. A lot of people are interested in collecting antiques and putting it on. They don't want to buy that on online. Like somebody might have told it's a 19th century stone and they bought it online, and then a normal stone comes home. So that's quite possible. So nobody wants to do e-commerce business for such areas. So some businesses cannot be done on e-commerce. Then cultural impediments. Some customers are still fearful sending their credit card numbers. Now there are people back in my family only who don't want to do anything online. No, 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 we should not give our bank account number, we should not give our credit card numbers. They're not still used to it, they're with a traditional mindset. So some people are simply resistant to change and even uncomfortable viewing the merchandise. This happens with my mom sometimes, like when I show her something on screen, she'll be like, why not better we touch that and see and then buy? She's also right in her way, because for kitchen products or for food products, it's better that we see and only then we buy. Electronics and other things is still okay, because manufacturer gives you warranty. If you get a defective product, you can either replace it or you can return the product. But some products are like that, which have a tag called non-returnable or non-refundable. So you have to be very sure about such products. Some people always feel comfortable walking into a store and buying it. And lastly, the biggest threat in e-commerce is security concerns. So whatever I'm doing online, are people tracking what I'm doing? Yeah, absolutely. That is exactly why you are getting all these suggestions of the same things that you bought and all. So, but I never gave anybody the permission. You did. When you initially signed up, you said, I agree to all the terms and conditions. So when you agree to all those terms and conditions, you naturally agreed to kind of share what your behavior is. I think I've discussed this enough in the classes about user behavior, how artificial intelligence and machine learning techniques are used to track your user behavior pattern. Those of you who are viewing me for the first time through this amendment lecture, a lot of points like this, I'll repeat that example for you guys. So you view something on Amazon or Flipkart, and then an hour later or something, you go onto an Instagram handle or on Facebook, and suddenly you see that those ads are only popping up. How did Facebook get to know what you saw on Amazon? Now, who gave Amazon the permission to share that information to Facebook? You only gave. You said, I agree to everything. No, so you agreed to saying that Amazon will share this information with us. Of course, they will protect it, but still, they will share it with some known people, and you agreed it. Sir, I never read that. That's the big problem. Many of us Whenever we agree upon something, we never read. I mean, I am pretty sure 9 out of 10 people, in fact in some cases I can say 10 out of 10 people, simply they click that I agree button or I accept without even reading it or without even knowing what the terms and conditions are, rather what privacy policy is. So that is always a big challenge. So this could potentially come up as a 4 marks question, guys, completely added up into the story. So I want you to take a clear look at it. Now, in the last May 2020 amendments, these were included: e-commerce model, which you already know, business to customer, and customer to customer, like OLX and all that. Now, we have a few more business models coming up. It's called C2B, customer to business. What are we doing in this model? Consumers set prices and companies bid for those offers. So I have something with me as the consumer, I will set a price for it and companies will auction for it. Okay, we can take this from the customer. So the customer is selling it back to the business. This is a C2B model. E-marketing and e-distribution systems go with this. Not like for us, not for the end consumer or retailers, mostly e-marketing and e-distribution businesses. The comparison of interest rates of personal loan or car loan between various banks. The consumers place an estimate of the amount he or she wants to spend on hiring a service of a personal loan, and then a business organization fulfill the consumer's requirement within the specified budget. If you give your budget, in that budget, how many people are giving those loans? Now, I think you can visit this site called Bank Bazaar, but don't give any confidential details because they'll start troubling you saying that, please take the loan. They'll keep calling you. But for that, you can just try where you can go and, like it's Bank Bazaar, the name itself says it. So you can go and ideally shop as to what banks are offering what interest rates and what other things. So it's a very simple thing, guys, nothing much to deal with. It's a very, very easy concept down there. So that is what we have in terms of this one. This is the first one, customer to business. Then moving on, we have the next one, consumer to government. Now this is something new that you guys can easily understand. It's an e-marketing service. All transactions that occur between a consumer and government, predominantly filing returns. You can get on the income tax website and see. So filing returns is a consumer to government e-commerce, because I remember when I started my articleship, I used to stand in lines carrying those ITR forms and file them manually. I'm talking back in what, 2007, early 2007. Then a few years later, that is 8, 9, 9, 10, from there on e-filing was introduced, and all this manual filing and e-filing were there parallelly for some time, and then now completely it's all e-filing. You don't have to go anywhere, stand in queues, nothing, and not possible. And right now, this decade, after the pandemic, there is, wherever there is possibility to reduce physical business, everything is being done. Then the opposite of this, we file to the government, so it's consumer to government. Government to consumer is also there, where this allows consumers to provide feedback or ask information about the government authority from public sector. Consumers can reach higher authority without going around in cities. Now, a lot of apps are made available for local municipality and all that. Now, like say for example, in my street, if there is any road digging or incomplete work, I can go onto the app, take a picture of that and post it there in within 24 hours. I don't know how it's in other cities. I am based in Hyderabad. Definitely there is a response to such things. I have done that in the past, so that is why I'm telling that. So there is an app, you can download that app. Here it's called the GHMC, the Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation. There is an app, Android app, download, and then you can make a complaint like that. You can in fact do a lot of services. So basically government, whatever they provide to the consumer, that is what this site is all about. Government to I think we have to really appreciate. I don't know much about the other state governments, but right now in Telangana there is something, I think in the example also here they gave E-Seva Andhra Pradesh, because that stands out as the number one. It was back then Andhra Pradesh, now in Telangana also it's called Me Seva right now, but amazing service. This is like you can reach out to government. Now most people are taking the Twitter platform to do that. They tag the respective minister or somebody, but through this app also it works. All I'm saying is, it works, and responses are there, because once I did that, there was a road digging which was incompletely left open like that. You can go log into the app, make a complaint, take a picture of that and put it there. Next day morning the officials were there and they inspecting that, and within the next 24 hours they fixed it literally. So that's an amazing response, because back then when people used to go to the nearest municipality office, officer is not there, people will come tomorrow, so many excuses. But now, because they also have timelines now, from when a complaint is raised, within 24 hours they should also finish this. So all these are excellent things. The aim is to reduce the average time for fulfilling citizens' request. And finally, business to government. This model, the B2, it is actually one of the B2B only, but instead of B on the other side, the buyer is the government this time. So one business to other business, the same thing, one business to the government. B2G model is a variant of B2B. Such websites are used by governments to trade information with various business organizations, right, wherein they can sell goods directly. Now, a lot of websites have been created where when producer of the goods wants to sell it directly to the government, such websites are accredited to the government to provide a medium to the businesses that submit application forms and all. So 4 more points have been added up here. Consumer to first 3 that were already there are business to business, business to customer, and customer to customer. Now we have customer to business, consumer to the government, government to consumer, and business to government. 4 of them newly added up. Then a small paragraph that talks about the future of e-commerce. The future of e-commerce based on the research done by the India Brand Equity Foundation. Indian e-commerce industry has been on the upward trajectory. It's been there for the last 2 decades like that, and you can see it will be one of the largest by 2034. The e-commerce market is expected to reach 13,97,800 crores, of that is 200 billion US dollars by 2027, and then go to US dollar 38 billion. All I'm saying is, in the next 10 years, which is your very crucial time, there is going to be an explosion in the field of e-commerce. So all of you stay updated. And once again, that makes me say, don't hate any subject like enterprise information systems. There's at least, I'm pretty sure that 70% of this syllabus, what you're reading now in EIS, you will practically implement in 1 or 2 years of your CA career, and take it from me, because it's absolutely something very relevant to you. Maybe you're finding a disconnect today, which is because you didn't see all this happen practically. So right from BPA or accounting softwares or ERPs in the 2nd chapter, then the list of all the controls that you studied in the 3rd chapter, e-commerce, digital payments, cryptocurrencies may be the future, who knows, and then the banking system. So you don't know if you're doing the bank audit. Nowadays, for becoming bank auditor, you need to have a separate qualification of diploma in information system audit. So EIS is not some 50 marks paper alone. It's a very critical aspect that will help you in your CA life. How, I can't justify right now, or I can't argue on its behalf, but time will tell you the answer. Moving on to the last part of this story, components of e-commerce. There are several components of e-commerce: user, technology, infrastructure, web portal, and all that, right? So some extra points have been added up. That concept has not been changed. So in these 3 points, there are totally 6 points in that, but in these 3 points of technology, infrastructure, web portal, and payment gateway, actually earlier only one line was given. Some students were not able to understand the exact meaning of what those are. Now they have given it with a deeper clarity. Let's see that. First and foremost thing, the technology used in e-commerce should be scalable, means increasable in size, because the number of people who are getting onto e-commerce are very high. Handle peak traffics, otherwise server down, 404 page not found, all this will happen. So in order to avoid such situations, they should be scalable. Today 20,000 users are there, tomorrow 25,000 users are there. It should be able to accommodate that, and it should be easy to use and convenient for the customers. Whatever technology is selected should enable the customers to find what they want, as well as enable the merchant to promote its products. There's nothing more frustrating to customers than searching but not finding something. All of you who are using Amazon Prime, I guess you will find that problem. Amazon Prime's search tab is one of the worst search tabs I have ever seen. So if you go there and type a movie name correctly, spelling also correctly, it will lead you to so many other movies. So I don't know why somebody very reputed like Amazon Prime is doing that. Still, they have not fixed it. Quite some time now, I see that. So ridiculous the user experience when it comes to search. If you scroll down and find the movie, then it's fine. But I guess most of you agree with me on this. The Amazon Prime search bar is the worst search bar. You'll never be able to find that movie that you're looking for, and it's a practical problem reported by several people. But still, they're not, like doing it. But since you're easy to find movies by scrolling, many people are doing it. And then third point saying implementing a responsive design to make website accessible and usable on every device is important for the success of an e-commerce site. The use of mobile devices to access website is continually growing, and m-commerce sales are a large portion of this traffic. M-commerce is one part of the e-commerce which is being done on handheld mobile devices, wireless handheld devices. I hope all of you read that paragraph on mobile computing. E-commerce website should be optimized for mobile, providing the best experience for users no matter what device they are using. So not a big deal, guys. 3 extra points. Whatever technology you are using in e-commerce should be scalable, easy to use and convenient, and should have a responsive design. Then comes web portal. Web portal is a place where we are hosting the entire website. This shall provide an interface. An interface is nothing but a platform between user and the system to communicate, right? So this shall provide the interface which is what? Individual or organization shall perform e-commerce transactions. Web portal is through what we interact with the vendor. So Flipkart's homepage, Amazon's homepage, however they design it, the more beautiful it is, the more easy it is for us to communicate. And the more that you are communicating, are you communicating through a smartphone, laptop? And these web portals can be accessed through desktop, laptop, PDA, which stands for personalized digital assistant, and handheld computing devices, mobiles, and now even through smart TVs. The whole thing is, the beautiful part of web portal is what catches the eye of the person. Now the moment you have opened the amazon.in page, you will have a search bar and all the recently searched items and all that. Go to the search bar, type something, all the related list will come. It's easy for you to select. User experience becomes more easy. The sale process starts from the very moment the visitor looks at the web portal. You know the saying, right? First impression is the best impression. So that is very, very important in e-commerce site. You saw one website, you didn't understand anything. The moment you didn't understand, you will go off, irrespective of how good the product is or the quality of product is. The simplicity and clarity, underline those two words. The simplicity and clarity of content on web portal is directly linked to the customer experience of buying a product online. E-commerce vendor put a lot of money and effort in this aspect. Sophisticated portal design allows the small business to compete on equal footing with larger business. So it's just to say that you can compete in the same range like you compete with the big players. And all of you know what a payment gateway is. You have BillDesk, PayPal. There are so many payment gateways, Visa and MasterCard payment gateway, which allows you to hop. Hop means jump from the merchant website to the bank website, finish the payment there and redirect you back to the merchant website. So it's like you are on amazon.in. You want to make a payment, you are going on to Visa or MasterCard payment gateway, finishing the payment there and coming back to Amazon. I hope all of you have done the e-commerce transactions to know this. So in e-commerce, major portion takes place in the online payments is based on the payment gateway technology. Payment gateway is the way e-commerce or m-commerce vendors collect their payments. It's a system of computer processes that authorizes, verifies and accepts or declines debit and credit card transactions. Nowadays you can do through UPI, all that. The best part about this is That payment gateway operates through a secure internet connection. It's called SSL, Secured Socket Layer. That is the technology that that is being used by the web, like payment gateways. The payment gateway is another critical component of the e-commerce. The more simple your payment gateway is, again, people will find the experience more easy. Payment gateway assures the seller receipt of payment from the buyer. Payment gateway allows you to have a secure connection between website and the bank. This direct connection between both website and bank facilitates direct placement of payments on a website and straight deposit into the bank. Payment gateway is an application on e-commerce website that allows the website to link the client payment account with the website account. You guys can make the payments, and if you're making payment through the same card, you can save the card and all that. I don't think I have to explain you how that works. All of you might have again paid your exam fees through that modes, so I guess you know this. These are some additions to the technology component part. So yeah, that is the thing. And you have a long list of risks. Around 14 to 15 points are there, risks in e-business environment, and in 3 points, that is privacy and security, attack from hackers, and denial of service. These 3 points are there in your book, not like they are not there. Just this change has come here. These 3 points have been reworded and a better presentation has been given. Let's just have a quick read in a minute. What about privacy and security? Big risk in e-commerce, right? When organization uses internet to engage in e-commerce, it exposes itself to additional security threats and privacy issues. There are often issues of security and privacy due to lack of personal digital access and knowledge. Many people, they don't route them through secured gateways. Some people end up making payments on websites which are not HTTPS. Hypertext Transfer Protocol, HTTP, should be HTTPS, a secure hypertext transfer protocol with a lock symbol on the top. I have to be so clear there. So many people don't know all this, so they end up making payments even on insecure websites. And sometimes even when your system is warning the payment website looks insecure, and then it gives you option abort override. Many people click override because they just want to make the payment. So these kind of drawbacks are there, very dangerous. So a little bit of education can solve all this. You just have to know or tell people about what it is. It would require more stringent deployment, that too in the areas of underlying banking and finance. It requires a little more stringent deployment of security. Okay, and then the biggest points in risk is attack from hackers. Web servers are always vulnerable to hackers. Who is an hacker? A hacker is an unauthorized user who attempts to gain access with or without the intention to steal or modify. I want to clarify this to many people. Many people think hacker is a person with malicious intent. No, there is a different terminology used there. It's called a cracker, somebody who cracks passwords and all that. But a hacker is somebody with an intent to gain an unauthorized access. Sir, can we gain unauthorized access legally? Sir, what nonsense? What is that you told? Listen carefully. Can we gain unauthorized access legally? Are you allowed to do that? Yes, that is only called ethical hacking. So, hacking is only an activity. Many people mistake this is a wrong activity. Hacking is an activity of gaining unauthorized access. You can use the same hacking for good purposes, right? Like the people who are working as ethical hackers in the Department of Cybercrime or National Intelligence Agency, or they're working for RAW. What do? They keep hacking the networks where terrorists or other people are transferring malicious information. They track all that. So they are allowed to do that legally. They're ethical hacking. So hacking is just an activity, good or bad, depends on how you do it or for what purpose you do it. And the third one is denial of service. You are requesting a server to serve you. Concentrate on this point, very simple. You are requesting a server to serve you something. Like on the day of results, you got onto a server asking it to show your results. And what is it showing? 404, page not found. It is denying a service. Why will it deny service? Let's take a simple example of a small restaurant where over the counter food is served. You have to take a token, go and give the token and take your food. Oh, most of you know this. When many people gather there with all the tokens in their hand and they keep saying, give my order first, give my order first. That person on the other side, he'll be like, I'm not giving anybody, get lost. Does it happen? Same thing happens to the server. If too many number of people are attacking the server at the same time, what is happening? It is called as network contention. Contention happens when too many number of people are attacking and there is no patience. Everybody wants to see the results first, right? So eventually what will happen? The server will say, chalo, get lost, I am not going to respond to anybody. It's denying the service. But if the server had the capability to cater needs to more, that is why they told some time back, it's called traffic. So if network traffic is high, so anyway, I don't want to get too outside the topic. So there are some tests called as testing of the peak load factor. What is the maximum load that this server can handle? So peak load factor test and all will be conducted to see how much the server can handle. Even the biggest of the biggest servers with great capabilities have collapsed. Twice in this year, the Google server, twice in this year, Instagram and Facebook all collapsed. So despite having so much, denial of service is a very common problem. Service to customers may be denied due to non-availability of system, maybe because it's infected with virus or email bombing or many people trying to attack too. The denial of service may cause the network to shut down, making it impossible for users to access the website. Generally happens with our results. For busy e-commerce sites like Flipkart, these attacks are very costly. If Flipkart doesn't work for 10 minutes, you can't even imagine the quantum of sale that they lose in the 10 minutes. While the site is shut down, customer cannot make purchases. And long shutdowns like that are not good for the reputation also. So till now, no new concept has been, except for disadvantage in e-commerce, the other two are not new concepts, they're just additions to the old one. Now, a few changes have been made in the Information Technology Act. Now, here this is not actually change. This was there in the first chapter. They brought that in, put it in the fourth chapter, the rearrangement part. There is one paragraph earlier which used to be in the first chapter towards the end, saying that why did Information Technology Act come in? What are the advantages of the Information Technology Act? And exclusively, I used to always deal some extra points, though they were not there in the book, explaining people about some sections of e-governance, that is section 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then a capping section 9. Okay, so sections 3 to 9, they are all called e-governance sections. Now they have given a little bit of insight on all that. You know that the IT Act 2000 is something that gives you the legal recognition for all the electronic transactions, and this particular question is something from the first chapter. It's not new, but I've still continued to put that here. You can give it a reading. The objectives: to grant legal recognition to electronic records, electronic signatures, to provide legal sanctions to filing for government. That list could potentially be a question in the exam. It's a very simple list. I don't want to simply read what was already there. And these new points here are the two extra points that I want to teach you here are section 4, section 3 and section 6. Let me explain you that. They are very, very simple. Section 4 of the IT Act provides for legal recognition of electronic records. Now, because section 4 is there in the IT Act, you can maintain books of accounts in electronic form. You can actually do anything and everything in electronic form. Nowadays, you can send invoices in electronic form. And in every place where you are getting letters or intimations saying that this letter is electronically generated and does not need a signature. I hope ICAI sends you some letters like that saying it's an electronically generated statement, does not require signature. Bank sends such statement. So in all those cases, who gave them the power to do so? Section 4. Then, are we allowed to sign using digital signatures? Yes. Who gave the power to do that? Giving legal validity and sanction for the digital signatures is section 3 of the Information Technology Act. You can remember very simply, section 3 of the IT Act gives legal recognition for digital signatures. Section 4 gives legal recognition for maintaining electronic records. So sometime back you told no, we can file ITR in electronic form. Yes. Who permitted? Not only ITR, think any direct tax and indirect tax filings, GST returns or whatever be it. Now all of them are doing it online. Who gave them the power to do that? Section 6. Section 6 lays down the foundation for e-governance. It provides that filing any form, application or documents or making payments to the government or receiving from government, everything can be done electronically. Okay, did they miss section 5? Okay, they didn't talk much about section 5, so we are not much bothered about that. So only 3 sections have been talked about for you, 3, 4 and 6. So just remember, in short you can remember, 3 is legal recognition for digital signatures, 4 is legal recognition for electronic records, and 6 is e-filings to the government have been legally recognized. Actually it's not there, but take it for additional information. Section 7 permits you to do or conduct audit of documents in electronic form. If you want, anybody can write it down there. Okay, so all of these permissions have been given in the Information Technology Act, and those people who issue digital signatures, they are called as certifying authorities. Please underline that also. That power is also given in section 6. Section 6 gives the power to certifying authorities for issuing digital signatures. Then the last part here they spoke about section 14 of the Act relates to 14, 15, 16. All these 3 sections are about security. Section 14 of the IT Act relates to secure electronic record and provides where any security procedure has been applied to an electronic record at a specific point of time, then such record shall be deemed to be a secure electronic record. That is any kind of security like password or encryption, anything that is to be done. Section 14 gives you the power to do so. And digital signatures, whatever are being used, you should use secure digital signatures. That is a point in section 15 provides for security procedure to be applied for digital signatures. So 14 and 15 both are security related sections. 14 is for secure electronic record, any electronic record. Now that's why bank statements, credit card statements, whatever come, they will have a password. First 4 letters of your name followed by date of birth or something like that. So definitely they have to be secured like that. It's a secure electronic record, and whenever we are using digital signatures, they should also be secure. And for using a secure digital signature, section 15 prescribes the point. So I hope that serves the purpose here for the new additions to some of the sections in the Information Technology Act. Then let's move on to one short paragraph that is talking about trends in e-commerce. What are some of the trends in e-commerce? Here new aspects have come in with the trends in e-commerce. We will see that now. First and foremost thing, what is e-commerce business, which is expected to grow in the rapid pace? And okay, you can skip that part of intro, you can read that. All I'm saying is, what are the trends in e-commerce? How did e-commerce evolve? Now, like I said, in the 2007-8 phase, e-commerce was just launched that time. Then in the 2014-15 stage, it got to a particular level. Now you know what they said and where it will reach by 2027. So there is a change happening every 3 to 5 years, and significant amount of change. Let's see what are all those. Content. Okay, who gives you the better content? There is always a competition, right? There's a great competition in e-commerce. A visually attractive website, an interesting display of products is not just enough to stand out in the customer's memory. Achha, then what do you want? The content of the web should be in such a way that it not only attracts the customer but also helps in engaging them. The latest trend is about using videos for content marketing. Now, even if you see Amazon or Flipkart, apart from showing you pictures of it, they are showing videos, short video, 1 minute, 30 seconds, those videos, so that you can see the product, you can see somebody using that product in the video, and then you can automatically get that confidence. Shoppable videos for customers instead of using images and content would enable them to shop for products and services directly from the videos. So once you watch the video, buy now, you can click and easily get it. Then how do you attract people to buy things? Now you can't. Now you see many people have stopped coming home to market their product. Sir, if they are not coming home, then how are they marketing the product? They're coming even closer to you without coming to your house, through your mobile device. Now you are hanging on with your mobile devices for so long on Facebook and Instagram. Social media is such an influence. I've spoken about it so many times. So through social media, you are scrolling your feed and suddenly one ad pops up and you have a buy now tab on it. If the ad is attractive, you will immediately click buy now. So these are just, and those ads won't be something absolutely irrelevant to you. They'll be very relevant to you. Sometime back I told no, artificial intelligence is used there to send only those ads to your Instagram handle which you like based on what your user behavior is. Social commerce it's called. Social media is an integral part of almost every consumer's online habits. The latest trend is the inclusion of e-commerce in social networks like Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. More and more people these days are using smartphones because of their low cost, and of course thanks to Geo, everybody has cut down the, of course Geo started it, but now everybody has cut down the data rates. So India stands out to be one of the country topmost in the list of providing data for a very cheap rate. Our average pricing per GB is kind of lowest in the world. So one of the lowest in the world, you can say. Okay, social media platforms offer innovative methods to reach first time and new generation customers, engage and reward exciting customers and showcase the best to offer. The concept of commerce using social media toolbox with the help of e-marketer to become more familiar with their clients, and at the same time will also enable the customers to develop deeper relationship with the merchants. So social media is a very important, the trends are changing. See, 10 years back, though a website was there, it was never integrated to social media. Now social media is an integral part. Content is very important. Social commerce is important. If somebody says today, we have only websites, sir, mobile app is not there, then you'll be like, what is happening in today's world? Mobile app is not there. So mobile commerce is a third trend. User experience is critical component of any digital business strategy in today's technologically advanced world. The user is moving from desktop to mobile. Who has a time and patience to sit on a desktop or laptop? How many of you are watching this on mobile phones? That itself tells the answer. 55% of the online traffic is generated from mobile devices and it's still increasing. I think you can easily take that number up to 70. Mobile marketing is therefore an important e-commerce trend. Then use of biometrics, facial recognition, fingerprint, all that. E-commerce, a rapidly growing industry where main concern for every person who is a retailer is to offer maximum comfort and security to the buyer. That's why most of our apps which we have to open in our phones, they are all opening either through our fingerprint or through facial recognition if your phone has facial recognition, or if your phone has fingerprint, or if your phone uses PIN. It's more personalized. PIN is outdated. Now it's all biometrics. Biometrics are more bodily features, right? So nobody can copy them. Biometric verification is a recent e-commerce technology trend like fingerprints, palm, face, voice, which are the highest level of security, where forging is kind of impossible. What is the latest? Of course, in biometrics they can forge. I'm not saying they can't, but who will forge everybody's fingerprint? No, unless it's somebody very popular or something like that, they might. But otherwise, forging is possible. But biometrics are the highest order of security. That also I can tell you. And the last 2 points are the craziest trends that have come in the e-commerce part. What are those? Artificial intelligence and predictive analysis. Predictive analysis is done through machine learning. Okay, let's see here. Artificial intelligence, another trend in e-commerce is the use of chatbot. I hope many of you know what chatbots are. You can talk to a system, not a person but a system. It's an artificial intelligence powered system, right? A fully automated chat agent that will answer all your questions. Like anybody on Swiggy or Zomato, when you want to complain, you can talk to the Swiggy bot. Everywhere it is there. I just picked up the example of Swiggy because many of you might have done that. we order some food, they don't deliver it properly, or packing is not good, we can talk to those chatbots, right? Well designed chatbots can offer personalized assistance, enhance the user experience. You can track shipments. All I'm saying is you can use the concept of artificial intelligence to interact with customer at all times. Then taking it to predictive analysis, user behavior being predicted, very very important. Last 1 week what did you do? Now if last 1 week I've not done any transaction, my bank sent me a message saying that your card has not been swiped. Like I don't want to swipe, but still they're just reminding me, right? Or last time I visited something like DMart, then new offers have come in DMart. Suddenly I get a message on my phone, new offers are coming in DMart, new offers are there here, 40% off on the new range clothing. So many times you keep getting these messages. It's a good CRM, right? Customer relationship management. So using predictive analysis, linking it with customer relation, everything that we do here is to increase the sale only. Okay. The use of predictive analysis tools is increasing to predict the online customers' behavior. The tools help in analyzing the customer's behavior, like who does not return within 30 days, like a very genuine customer, always but he never returned. Now if you open my Amazon buys or Mintra buys, generally when I buy something, hardly I have returned it twice or thrice, maybe very sometimes there are situations where in one full year I've never returned anything. So I ordered something, I got it, I used it, so very less return. So customers like me are very fruitful for them. But I do have friends, like who just like that keep swiping and keep ordering. They'll get that product, they'll see it and then return for no reason, and then keep using the same money to do the window shopping. Every time you order, they'll deliver, see that, return. I mean, like, these are not and when you do so many returns, no, I've had friends whose account got blocked also. So it will do predictive analysis. Okay, this is a genuine customer, this customer has returned so many times, all that can be done. So I hope you understood how the e-commerce business is changing. See, this is not something which is going to happen overnight. When you say trend will always take time, and that's how it will come. So that's the first part of a future. E-commerce chapter is 3 parts, right? This fourth chapter. First is e-commerce, second is digital payments, third is all the emerging models. So that's our first part of changes in e-commerce. Then, like I said, in digital payments, which is our second part, 2 new points have been added up. I will explain both for you right now. Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin is one of the biggest sought after or talked about cryptocurrencies right now. What is a cryptocurrency? Is another electronic payment method that is steadily growing its popularity. When recently Tesla bought $1 billion worth of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, the Bitcoin shooted up so much, and it touched even the $50,000 mark and all that. What's happening? One Bitcoin is equal to $50,000. What are you talking? So maybe cryptocurrencies is the future. Let's see. Cryptocurrency is a digital currency produced by a public network rather than any government that uses a cryptography to ensure that payments are sent and received safely. Cryptocurrency is a medium of exchange wherein records of individual coin ownership are stored in a computerized data using strong cryptography. So who owns how much cryptocurrency is stored in a system? Who issues it? Nobody knows. It's a private network, right? Cryptocurrency is called so because all the data is ensured with strong cryptography, and this strong cryptography make it almost impossible to counterfeit or double spend. Not like printing one more note or nothing. Like, there are so many advantages, but it's also a bubble that will burst in few years. So to know it, anyway, you be there in the market when cryptocurrency becomes a reality where everybody starts accepting that, then story will be different. The other digital currencies like DigiCash utilizes a trusted third-party approach in which a third party verifies and facilitates these transactions. But cryptocurrencies are completely decentralized, which means that there are no servers involved and no central controlling authority. Cryptocurrency is digital money which does not involve any physical coin. And since it's all online, the user can transfer cryptocurrency to someone without even going to the bank. It can be used for making quick payments, like money in your payment wallet only. So that is not any new or different here. But who issues it? Who is the owner of it? Nothing. Nobody knows any of that. Cryptocurrency is stored in a digital wallet, either on a computer or on other hardware. The first cryptocurrency was Bitcoin, which was launched in 2009. Other cryptocurrencies prevailing in the world today include Litecoin, Peercoin, Namecoin, as well as Ethereum. Ethereum is a European based cryptocurrency, so you can research a little bit more on all this if you are interested in all that, right? So that is also one future mode of payment. Then what we are looking at are some of the drawbacks in digital payments. I don't think you will find any difficulty here because they added 3 new points to the drawbacks. Disputed transactions. 4 points are already there. They added these 3 more. In case the electronic money like credit card are misused by someone else, it is very difficult to receive a refund. And then increased business cost. Digital payment systems come with an increased need to protect sensitive financial information. So increased cost. If you want to make sure all the transactions are safe, you also have to spend very high. So therefore, that is another part. Business have to incur additional cost. And lastly, necessity of internet. I think this we saw in the beginning of this chapter also. No internet, no e-commerce, and no digital payment. So if internet fails, none of this will actually work. Okay, so these are the changes which are pertaining to the first 2 parts of chapter 4, which talk about e-commerce and digital payments. Now we are moving on to the last part of the 4th chapter, which is going to talk about all of the computing technologies, where the first one is grid computing. Not many changes in grid computing, only 2 areas. Actually, not even a change. You can say it's an addition here, that the first part, application areas, that list is already there. Now 3 more have been added to that list. Where all grid computing is used, it's used even in scientific research, using an entire network of computers to analyze data. It's used in the film industry to give special effects to the movie, and it's used in the finance industry, like in banks and financial institutions, to forecast the future of a particular stock. Nowadays, a lot of stock recommendations are coming, right? So all those are also areas where grid computing can be used. And grid computing security, where 5 points are already there, these 3 points are added newly. Grid computing security. Now we know that security on grid computing is a challenge, because if you know the concept of grid computing, there are many people who are connecting to the grid, right? So there could always be a challenge. Resource management. Grid resources are different administrative domains, because different people are there in different places. So, and have their own local resource managers, and grid does not have a full control. One member of the grid may be sitting in the US, one member may be in India, one member may be in Australia. So we don't know who are all part of that grid. So we don't have a complete control, is what they are saying. That's an important point in security. Allocation of resources to co-users. What can the other grid member access? It's a very important point. I think those of you who studied the concept of grid computing in detail, you know that many people in the grid can share all this, right? So what is it that they can share is also something that you need to see. By prioritizing local jobs and managing these resources without ownership is a big issue. So managing all the resources over a grid, that's definitely a challenge. And data management, where is data moving in, moving out, and whether the data is moving in the right time, and the time taken to move this data, is it efficient? So basic questions. The user's data intensive, high performance computing applications in grid require efficient management, because there is huge transfer of data. Providing secure, efficient and transparent access to distributed, that to heterogeneous pool of data, is also a big challenge in grid computing. If it's only one sort of data, we can design one mechanism for the data transfer. But when there are multiple mechanisms on how to transfer data, that's where this is getting a little tedious. And lastly, this point also is there, protection of credentials. If somebody leaks up their grid credentials, then that could be a serious issue out there, right? Therefore, the multiple different systems involved in grid require different credentials to access them. The credential management and protection of users' credential like password is also an issue for grid computing. So just a couple of changes in grid. Now let us look at the changes actually in cloud computing. No, here and there few points have been changed. Let me take you through what are the changes in the other areas. Cloud computing, then Internet of Things, and a little bit of change in artificial intelligence and machine learning. So yeah, I know this chapter is a bit lengthy, so if you want you can take a break at this point of time and join back again, because a balance part of this chapter and fifth chapter is there to continue. So you can take a break at this point of time and continue with cloud computing in a minute. I will of course go on. You can put the video on pause, take a break and come back. Let's move on to the next topic called cloud computing. So moving on to the cloud computing, we have first one, there is a just addition to a point here called as the characteristics of cloud computing. Wide range of network access capacities. That means the cloud can be accessed from wider range of network capacities. Resources are available to customers through a network and it can be accessed from different devices. Like you can access it from the mobile phone, you can access from the desktop, different devices you can access it. And so that's one extra point in characteristics they've added. That's not a real amendment or something like that. Now, yes, what has been done is, to the pertinent issues related to cloud, these points are actually there, but only thing is they have better discussed these points. I don't think I have to explain them again, because I will just give you an overview of what those are and then you can read them in detail, because these have already been discussed. Some of the pertinent issues related to cloud computing. Now, how much of the cloud services can be used, what can be done with the cloud, all this is a discussion between the cloud service provider and the service receiver. So there is called a threshold policy. Why threshold policy? The main objective is to inform the cloud computing consumers and also providers what they should do. It's more like a service level agreement, SLA it is called. I hope all of you know what a SLA is, you have come across in between. This service level agreement has to be documented between the cloud provider and the cloud user, because tomorrow cloud user should not go and argue, you said you will give me this at that time, then you didn't give, all this drama. To avoid that, what is the maximum that I can use, what is that I can do and what is that I can't do, a threshold policy has to be talking about. Then interoperability between one cloud to the other. So if you are right now using one cloud service provider and you want to migrate to another cloud service provider, there could be a problem sometimes between the APIs, that is application program interface. This fellow's application program interface may not support the other face. So from here you are taking some data there, it is not working properly. So between one cloud to the other, operation between one cloud to the other, which is called as interoperability, for importing and exporting the data could be a issue. So threshold policy is a pertinent issue. Interoperability between clouds an issue. Sometimes cloud service providers will say all this is free, but then there may be some hidden cost, like some cost including higher network charges for storage and database applications, or quick, if you want retrieval quickly, you subscribe to a better plan. Initially they might not tell all that, but once you get into using the cloud, then they start telling you all that will unnecessarily give you irritation. That is like, oh, if you have told me before, I would have not subscribed, that kind of a thing. So that is called hidden cost. Threshold policy, interoperability, hidden cost, unexpected behavior. This is one of the points that you studied in disadvantages of the clouds also. Suddenly, what if cloud stops responding? An application may perform well at the company's internal data center, and it does not imply that it will perform very well on the cloud. When you hosted a particular application on the server, it was working well. Will the same thing work well even on the cloud? We don't know that. Now that could possibly be a problem here. Testing also may include checking how the application allocates resources. Now you tested, I told you sometime back only, you tested with 1000 capability, 2000 capability, 5000 capability. Suddenly one day you had a peak load of 10,000. What will happen to that? You never tested that. So Sometimes the cloud may turn up behaving unexpectedly. Two common problems which are well discussed are security issues and legal issues. They are not new points, but since they were there part of it, I gave you here once again. Security issues are there in cloud because cloud is maintained by a third party. We don't know whether they are fully trustworthy or not. So sometimes data might not be fully trustworthy. Risk of malicious attacks on the cloud. Now, if somebody attacks the cloud, that is their headache. No, sir, correct. That is their headache. But the data inside the cloud is my data, no? So I am more bothered about the security of cloud. And data confidentiality can be preserved by encrypting the data. We all know it. So whether our cloud service provider is providing encryption, so simply sometime back they told you can take help of a cloud, and how easy it is and to do that and what is it, all these are some of the important points that we need to take into consideration. And as you know, in case of legal issues, cloud systems need to adhere to several regulatory requirements, privacy laws and data security laws. Every country has some of those nowadays, so you have to make sure that we have to stick to the legal laws. Then I don't know if you have studied the concept of SDLC or System Development Life Cycle in the third chapter. While discussing managerial controls, we have explained to you what is the System Development Life Cycle. So it's a process. Now, can we develop softwares on cloud? Yes, but what is an issue there? From the perspective of an application development, developers place the complexity of building secure applications. Complexity of building secure applications that may be hosted on the cloud. The speed at which changes will happen in the cloud will affect both the system development lifecycle and security. All I'm saying is the rate at which you do things normally might not be the same when you do it on the cloud. Sometimes cloud may slow down. And bugs are nothing but programming errors in large scale distributed systems. So one of the difficult challenges in cloud computing is handling the very large scale distribution. So it's a new topic, guys. Nothing new in the content as such, because if you know the concept of cloud properly, all these are points gathered from here and there and put in. Some points from characteristics of cloud, some points from disadvantages. So they are pertinent issues, they're very common. Can we handle them? Yes, very much. And that is exactly how cloud is functioning. Otherwise, cloud functioning can also turn very difficult to handle. Then the last two changes are not big, just a small paragraph has been inserted in the concept of web. Earlier web we had version 2, then version 3, last time they added version 4. Now web 5.0, it's called the telepathic web or symbiotic web. It is said to be the highly complex future web generation to be present after the year 2030. So it's not in operation as yet, it's what is going to come in the future, in which some of things such as brain implants are expected to be popular. Brain implants will be given to people, so for exactly without talking and all, ability to communicate with the internet through a thought. Like just hard to imagine also. So if I'm thinking that I need to buy something on Amazon, it will just go and buy on Amazon. Okay, so that's really scary to think of. Those guys who are fans of web series, you guys might want to watch a web series called Black Mirror from Netflix. So there they have shown some advanced things like this, where you can record the future or where you can share memory and all that. So Black Mirror is a very interesting, might not sound logical when you see the web series, but it's kind of, it's a mind freaking web series, you can say. So that is what is the future, is what they're saying, inserting microchips into the body. And also, though it doesn't make a great sense here, still they gave you web 5.0. Now the last topic where they have made some significant amount of addition is machine learning. Actually, there are only a couple of lines of machine learning right now in your material. So in the May 21 material, a little more detail about machine learning has been given, but where the concept continues to remain same. So let's target that and close it. Machine learning is the learning in which machine can learn by its own. Underline that. Machine can learn by its own without being explicitly programmed. It's an application of the artificial intelligence concept, whereby it's just like The machine learns based on what you do. Pattern recognition, predictive analysis, all these are some of the tools which are machine learning tools. Machine learning is the science and art of programming computers so that they can learn from data. Back then you saw data warehousing and data mining. That is what computers now do automatically. They try to understand what the data is, how that data is coming into picture, and what else has to be done. All these are some of the points that we need to note, and then accordingly we can discuss further, and based on that only a machine learning code is generated, so the machine automatically learns what's going on. Pattern recognition is the key word, you can say. Spam filter is a machine learning program that can learn to flag email. Now, what is the difference between regular mail and spam? It will automatically, the machine itself will segregate and do. If the ID from where the mail is coming is not a proper ID, then automatically the system will filter that as spam and throw it. No, you're seeing that in your mailbox. So that is a example of machine learning. Moreover, if spammers notice that their emails contain anything for you are blocked, then might they start with for you. Just an example to tell you in place of that. So even these programs, no, they are very interested in finding out related words. So if a particular word or usage of a word is blocked, then such terms can be substituted by some other words. That also the systems will find out. Machine learning can be used for solving problems which are too complex for traditional approaches, or where there is no algorithm. No algorithm means no sequence of steps. Like speech recognition. Speech recognition is system doesn't even know what are you going to talk, but based on what you talk, it will understand and then generate the results. That is why most number of times, if you don't talk properly, some wrong results will come, right? And then consider the following two things. Machine learning has been used for image, video, and text recognition. Machine learning has been used for what? Image, video, and text recognition. And you have Google Assistant, Siri, all these are good examples. They're also used in autonomous vehicles. Volvo is the best self-driven car. Tesla is a self-driven car. So they're all Google car. They're all using the machine learning technique. Where is it being used? It's being used. This list is same. It's used in autonomous vehicles, medical diagnosis and cancer research, playing games like predicting which lottery ticket will win, then detecting unusual credit card transaction. Normally my range of doing credit card transaction is 2000, 5000, 10,000. Suddenly if there's a 50,000 transaction, an alert will come. Training human beings or users to inspect special machine learning algorithms like spam filter. Discovering hidden patterns in data, which is called as data mining. I think you studied the concept of IoT. Lot of changes were made in IoT, Internet of Things, in 2020 syllabus. So there also machine learning is used. In online search engines and online assistants also use the concept of machine learning. So these are some of the changes pertaining to chapter 4. Now, the last chapter is on core banking systems. Let's move on to chapter number 5. In the 5th chapter, now we have very few points to discuss. As I told you, you've seen the long stretch of 4th chapter. 5th chapter is very simple. These are again things that were there. Only thing what we are doing is a little bit of rearrangement and extra information in some places. So let's start with the first one. There is a topic called technology components of CBS. Those of you who don't know this topic, first you are advised to go through this topic thoroughly and then come here to discuss. Okay, and thereby if you see, the key technology components of the core banking system are, now the point is earlier they only listed down the side headings like database environment, application environment. They didn't tell what it is, but now they've gone one step ahead in explaining what those are. So what is a database environment? So if at all you are creating a core banking system software, what all go into making up the core banking system software is the technology components. First of which is database environment, which consists of centrally located database servers that store all the data from all the branches of the bank. Now we know there are different types of servers that are used in banks, right? So this is the database server part, because there is so much data in banks that have to be stored, right? So from all the different branches, whatever data comes in, that gets stored in this particular area. That is what is a database environment. The database environment consists of centrally located database servers that store the data for all the branches of the bank, which include customer master data, interest rates, the account types, savings account, current account, all those. Whenever a customer requests a particular service to be performed, the application server will perform the particular operation and it will update the database server. If any of you have read that 8 servers clearly, this entire topic is going to be very easy. These databases are kept very secure to prevent obviously unauthorized changes. Anybody can't go there and change any account information or account balances. They can't do all that, right? Then the next component that is involved in CBS is application environment. In general, application environment consists of the application servers that host different core banking systems like FlexCube. FlexCube is a product of Oracle, Bankmate. Now you have so many software. So the bank Infosys has one banking software, and there is another company called Nucleus Solutions. There are different bank softwares that are available. All I'm saying is, whichever application software you buy, that application software will be hosted in the application environment, and to protect that, obviously there should be a firewall. The access to these application servers will be routed through a firewall, because again, everybody will not be allowed to make changes. As we discussed little earlier in the session about role-based access, it's very important to define roles in places like bank, because who can make changes to the server, when can they make the changes to the server, are all some very critical and important points. Then moving next is enterprise security architecture and security solution. To ensure security, proxy servers, firewalls, intrusion detection systems, IDS, are used to protect the network. I hope you guys know what these are. Again, because it's not my task right now to explain what those are. You should be knowing that, because they're all pretty important security aspects for an organization. To save you from malicious attacks that you discussed in the 3rd chapter. Remember, malicious attacks, hacking, and there could be piggybacking, there could be data leakage. All these are points that you have under the malicious attacks. And to detect any unauthorized network entries. To ensure secure network configuration, proper usage of routers, hubs and switches should also be envisaged. All we are saying is, there is a lot of architecture that goes into making this huge setup, and from none of those points we want any third party to intrude. So therefore, periodic assessment and testing should be carried out to assess the vulnerabilities, means weaknesses, and identify where the weaknesses are. Further, cyber security controls are prescribed by RBI for every bank. And then there are guidelines in the Information Technology Act also, that if a bank fails to protect SPDI, that is sensitive personal data or information, then there is punishment for the bank. So therefore, various security measures taken should include, every bank should take these security measures. What are those? Full-fledged security policy development and implementation. First, they should have a security policy. They should develop one security policy, and then you have to implement that, not simply developing it on paper. Identifying the risk to ensure risks are within the bank's risk appetite. Now, from the concept of ERM, you know what a risk appetite is, right? Risk appetite is how much risk an organization can tolerate. In this case, the bank. Implementing anti-phishing and anti-malware softwares. In the first chapter, I've already explained the concept of phishing. Implementing bank specific email domains. Lot of fake mails will come. ICICI and one more C. So ICICI bank. .com, you will get one mail from that, but nobody will notice that. And since our human eye is, when you see it for the first time, you will not even realize, you will think that it's coming from the official bank ID. So you got to be very, very careful and make sure that mails are coming only from the bank's official bank ID. Two-factor authentications. I hope all of you using mobile applications nowadays know what two-factor authentication is. First you will type one password, then it will ask one more PIN. Periodic security review of systems and terminals, password management policy, effective employee training, proper reporting mechanism, verification of vendor, third party service providers. Don't randomly take anybody on board and make sure that who the vendor is and then only take them. Non-disclosure and compliance agreements, secure configurations of the servers and other things. Effective change management. Now whenever they're changing something in the organization, change has to be managed. Smooth transition has to happen. When the bank converted from that software to this software, some 5,000 account details were lost. That's all. Those 5,000 people will come onto the bank and start throwing stones and all that. So you can't do that, right? So smooth transition should happen. That is called effective change management. And if at all anything goes wrong, no, we wish that nothing goes wrong. But just in case if something goes wrong, then there should be immediate incident response and management. Incident response and management. Any of these incident means grave events happening immediately, somebody should take care and respond. Then periodic testing and audit log verification. When was the last time testing took place, what happened there, and all that has to be checked. And continuous surveillance should be there, constant 24/7 monitoring. Then so secure your application environment, secure a database environment, and make sure that you have a strong facility to take care of the entire infrastructure. Then banks can't say that today we are shut down because network is not working. Though we end up seeing that nowadays, in many times bank servers hang. Like it's quite common because too much load sometimes. 1 or 2 hours you're trying to make transactions to send money, it's not happening. But that's truly unexcusable, right? And somebody is in a hospital, they need money immediately. There are a lot of emergency situations. So, but major banks maintain uptime. You know what is uptime and downtime, right? Otherwise, understand what those are. The time for which server is not functional is called downtime. So, banks want to always keep this downtime to minimal. Not like the ATMs. Whenever you go to any ATM, there will be one board hanging outside. ATM not working. Now this could be mostly because there is no money in that, but they won't tell all that. They simply say it's not. Sometimes there will be money, but server connection will not be there. So you will go and keep on trying that. It will constantly keep saying server error. So we can't. These are unexcusable. So every bank make sure that there is network administration. Network administration plays a very significant role in core banking systems. The importance of this topic is separately emphasized actually. There should be adequate bandwidth to deal with the volume of transactions. Recently the same thing happened with Axis Bank. It reported a downtime of like 45 minutes. 45 minutes is too huge on a working day. And it's quite, I think it happens with every bank. Like one day ICICI Bank has reported that. Kotak Bank in the recent times, there's a big news of that. For 2 or 3 hours people were not able to access accounts. It happens. You should also understand that there are a lot of people who are involved into stock markets, so they keep trading, they want money coming in, money going out, lot of transactions happen. So you can't say we didn't expect this much load. Today 10,000 people came more. So you should be prepared. That's what they're saying. Have adequate bandwidth. Have proper volume handling abilities. Not like, on the day of results, how the websites crash. Too many people trying to attack. That's what will happen. And same way, there is no scope for a data loss in bank. So everything that happens minute to minute, in fact second to second, has to be absolutely backed up. There should be a data backup. Data center and disaster recovery center. The core banking system consists of data center, which includes various application servers, database servers, web servers, everything, and various other technological components.
bank should not, it's mandatory. No bank will think like that. Why to spend on all the backups? Or they can't think like that. They have to maintain this. The bank should adopt full-fledged documentation. What should the bank do? They should adopt a full-fledged documentation and prepare necessary manuals dealing with the disaster recovery procedure. Arrangements for alternate connectivity of banks with the data center should be established whenever there is a disruption, in the primary connectivity. Proper awareness should be created among employees through periodic trainings and mock drills, so that in the event you will not panic, or on that day you will not behave like I don't know. And lastly, fraud risk management. It's a latest addition to that. Nowadays lot of people project like the bank, which phishing attacks will happen, and that is why they told be very clear about from where you are getting the mail. And daily bank will keep sending a message, no, bank will not ask for the pin, don't tell anybody the pin and all that. That is for this reason only. Online transaction risk evaluations are to be carried out, and considering the risk profile and other regulatory requirements of the bank, effective monitoring should be done as part of managing the fraud risk management. There are also methods that facilitate fraud reporting in the core banking system. Nowadays artificial intelligence backed up techniques are there, so effectively somebody need not sit and keep watching the screen what's going on. So if artificial intelligence techniques are employed, so if any of the conditions are not met, automatically a trigger is popped up like 3 times or more. If somebody is typing the wrong password, even if he is the authentic user, still immediately at least a 24-hour lockout is announced. I hope you read the controls that are there in the 3rd chapter. A lot depends on how much you know EIS. I'm the end of the session, and I told so many times that you read, but I don't know whether you really read or not. So yeah, if you know, then it's easy. Proper alert system should be enabled to identify any changes in the log settings, and the audit logs pertaining to the user actions are to be captured. Now, so those are the list of points. Earlier only the side headings were there, but now elaborately what do they mean by each point. So establishing a bank's core banking system, setting up technology components, mean what goes into that. All these points go into the technology part of the CBS. And one more small aspect that has come up is, actually there are many risks alongside this risk associated with CBS. In this topic, a small amendment is in this paragraph of operational risk. Now credit risk and other risks are there, so if you have the full material you can scroll through. This is not the only risk there. I have put only the change part. Okay, so credit risk, market risk, compliance risk, or additional points are there, but now they have in operational risk only the first 4 lines were there earlier. Now they added these 5 points there, and compliance risk separately was there, they brought and put it here only. Okay, so if a bank is operating, what are the risks that it normally face? What are operational risk? Risk defined that arise from direct or indirect loss to the bank, which could be associated with inadequate or failed internal process, people, or systems. Sir, what can go wrong if my people, process, and systems are not proper? What can go wrong? That is the story there. For example, audit is not done properly, inadequate audits, improper management, ineffective internal control procedures, etc. Operational, so all those are lack of operational aspects, so that could prove to be a risk. Operational risk necessarily excludes business risk and strategic risk. If you see the next point, they'll be discussed separately. The components of operational risk include, the list is here, check this out. First one, transaction processing risk. While processing a transaction, can something go wrong? Transaction processing risk arises because faulty reporting of important market developments to the bank management may also occur due to errors in the entry of data for subsequent bank computations. Then information security risk comprises the impacts to an organization. What does it do? It comprises the impacts to an organization and its stakeholders that could occur due to the threats and vulnerabilities associated with the operation, and use of information system. Sir, then what should I do? Don't use information system. Sir, but that's so stupid. We know this. From the first chapter, we are seeing this. If you want to avoid a risk, you should not do it. But no, it's not like that. So therefore, you can definitely go ahead dealing with it. Data breaches can cost a bank in reputation. Customers can lose time and money, and more than anything, customers may lose their confidential information. So top priority should be there for maintaining the information. Then the next three are very simple. Legal risks. Section 43A of the Information Technology Act says that SPDI of any person should be protected. So if the bank doesn't do any of these things and their client's information is gone out, then the bank will be held liable. Legal risk arises because of treatment of clients, sale of products or business practices of a bank. The countless examples of bank being taken to the court every day, somebody or the other will file a case on the bank, even though it's not the bank's mistake. This fellow only would have randomly given all the pin and information somebody, still they will blame the bank. So nowadays it's like that. Corporate customers who claim that they were misled by the advice given by them and the business product sold. So make sure that banks, I mean, like the bank management should make sure that they properly handle all this. There should be that is exactly why every transaction you do with the bank, they will make you, agree to the terms and conditions. Then compliance risk. A lot of compliances, right? Banking Regulation Act, RBI Act, Information Technology Act, Money Laundering Act, prevention of money laundering. The list is endless. So compliance risk is exposure to legal penalties, financial penalty, and material loss an organization faces when it fails to act in accordance with the industry's laws and regulations. This point you know from ERP. Legal risk is always there when you don't comply to laws and regulations. Finally, the biggest danger is our own people. If you don't instruct them or train them properly, people risk can arise from lack of trained personnel. They can tamper records, unauthorized access to dealing rooms, and a nexus between front and back end officers. If people are not trained properly, if there's a gap between front end and back end, or if they collide and collude and do some mistake together, all these are serious aspects that can bring bad name to the bank. So bank should make sure that they have adequate controls. What are the controls for all this has been discussed in the later part. Okay, so that brings us to the end of chapter 5, guys, and also brings us to the end of the session. So I hope all of you have listened to the amendments very carefully, noted down wherever the changes are, and made sure that you have the material with you. So those are the 5 chapters, and like I told you in the beginning, revision videos of EIS are there for the first 3 chapters. I will try and ensure that chapter 4 and 5 are brought in before the May 21 attempt. The link is in the description for all of that. Lot of revision videos pertaining to audit. The whole revision video of company audit with more than 20,000 views now is also there. So go through all that, and you know what to do. If you have liked this video, and then if you have liked the channel, do share it with others. I will see you in my next video. Thank you, guys.